Hello and welcome to Strictly Healthy, another episode here. And today, of course, I'm your host, Linda Humphreys, and we talk about all things to do with our health. And we include experts talking about things that affect our health. And today is no exception. We will be talking about financial health and personal growth and how we can save a little bit of money, especially in these times. So I have joining me today David Cater from Manning and Co. And he will be sharing some ideas on how we can keep more of the money to ourselves. So welcome, David, to the show.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yes, you're more than welcome. Thank you. We go back a bit of a way, don't we, with networking and so on. So I'm really pleased to have you.
No problem at all. I mean, it's an interesting thing to do to try and get some good messages across, and it's hopefully some people will get some good tips from not just today, but obviously all the other ones you've been doing, which I've been looking at. So very good.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah. Good. So let's just start a bit. Of course, people want to know who you are and a bit of a background about yourself. So if you could just share that with us. You are an IFA.
IFA, which is basically independent financial advisor. I've been in the business for financial services for about 30 years, believe it or not, a long time. Not always as independent. So I sort of I actually got into the business by accident, really. It's a funny story. I mean, I'll try and tell it as briefly as I can, but sure. I was working for my dad at the time. He was a carpenter and joiner, so he was in the building industry. But I was doing sort of bookwork and VAT and all that interesting stuff. And I happened to be going down to the bank to do some banking one day and bumped into a girl who'd broken down. A car had broken down. She asked me sort of where the nearest garage was. I said, well, look, my garage is just down the road. I'll take you down there if you want. So we walked down there. As we got talking, she said she was a financial advisor. I thought, that sounds very, very posh, very good, interesting. And she said, we're having a seminar in the week or a couple of weeks' time about recruiting new people. Would you like to come along? And I went along and got into it from there. Really went for a couple of interviews and so just purely by accident.
How long ago was that then?
That was probably late 80s. So
you've been doing it for some time then?
Yeah, long time. I mean, as I said, it hasn't always been as an independent. I sort of joined a company called, everyone will have heard of them, I suspect, the Prudential. I was the man from the Pru. That will ring a bell to a lot of people. Maybe not younger viewers, but older people will know what the man from the Pru was. And then from there, I moved on to what was then Halifax Building Society and worked in branches as an investment advisor and that type of thing. Moved on again after about 8 or 9 years to HSBC Bank. And that's when I really started doing more independent financial planning.
I've got a question for you. Some of them also describe themselves as a lifestyle planner. And I think you're a lifestyle planner. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, I mean, a lifestyle planner is basically, it's not just someone who will sort of take orders, let's say, from a client. A lifestyle planner will look at the whole holistic situation of that particular client and try and get underneath the bonnet of what they're trying to achieve, whether that be retirement in the future or a particular savings goal or whatever it might be. You try and work out the best way of getting them from where they are now to where they want to be in the future. And there's various means of us being able to do that. And that's essentially what lifestyle planning is sort of all about, really.
Okay. Before we move on, though, I just wanted to just backtrack a little bit. I was curious about this self-employment scheme, that the government has set up, etc. Do you think that we will be paying heavily for taxes at some point with this scheme, or how do you see that
I
playing
think,
out?
yeah. I mean, at the moment, obviously, it's extremely difficult because with what we've been through in the last 12 months, you've got the furlough scheme, and you've got various grants and self-employed help, and obviously all that comes out of government money, government coffers, and we're in a position where we're currently borrowing more than we've ever borrowed, or certainly since the Second World War. Now, at some point, that needs to be paid back gradually. So I can see, but before we get to that point, the economy needs to recover, and it's going to take a little while for the UK economy to recover. But eventually, tax changes will have to come in, whether that's personal taxation or VAT changes or other different things, ways of recouping that money. It's going to happen. It is a pill we're going to have to unfortunately swallow at some point. But I don't think the Chancellor in the budget the other day, he's not looking to do that immediately. It's going to take a bit of time because we need to get the economy back on its feet first of all.
Okay. All right. Right. So just a bit more about, the IFA world that you're in. What's your average client like then? Do you deal with people with very little money, or can you deal with people with very little money?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's this common misconception that, you've got a financial advisor, you must have lots of money to invest. That's completely wrong. It isn't the case at all. Of course, we like clients that have got money to invest. That's what we do.
Sure.
But it really, in terms of having money to invest, we can see anybody, whatever their needs are, whether it's looking to save money for that individual, or, like I said, save for the future or save for retirement. We can usually find something that we can help anybody with. So you don't need a lot of money, to have a financial advisor or get help and advice from a financial advisor.
Okay, good. So I know you're going to share a few tips and points with us today on how we can go about saving a little bit.
There's a few little bits we've talked about before, obviously. So we'll sort of have a look at that in a few minutes, I'm sure.
Okay. Before we do that, a couple of other questions. Do you tend to work by upfront fees, or do you charge an average on your investments?
The way we get paid has changed over the years. It used to be financial advisors and bank people and insurance salesmen got paid by commission. That is a dirty word now, really. We don't really, it is basically fee-based, the fee-based industry in the main now. So, but the client can choose to pay that fee however they wish. So if they want to pay it up front or via an invoice, we can invoice them. And what I tend to find is a lot of my business commercial clients like that, because they can offset that as professional fees against their tax. So we can invoice them. But what we would say retail clients, the way they would do it is, if they are investing a sum of money or a regular payment, then the fees can be arranged within the contract itself. So we get the client's agreement for the fee, and then they pay it via the actual sort of investment that they've been set up with. So in that way, they're still paying that fee, but they don't have to pay it up front. It doesn't have to come out their bank account. It comes from what we're setting up. So it's a cost-effective way of doing it, and clients can choose how they want to pay those fees.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get in a bit about the tips that you're going to share with us today. Did you want to start?
I think in the little sort of, there's two things I just wanted to touch on. In the sort of little promotion video we talked about, one of the biggest 5 things that people worry about, one of the top ones is money. And that will either be, it's usually not having enough of it or worrying about money in some form. Now, there's only 2 real ways in which you can sort of stop that concern, if you like, and they're very, very simple, and they're very obvious, really. One is earn more of it, and that's very difficult. That is difficult because you've limited to what options you can do, and that can take time. The second one, which is a lot more immediate and something that everyone can do straight away, more or less, is cut back on expenditure. And so sorry, go on, you're going to ask a question.
Well, certainly, I think we all want to do that. I find I struggle to do that because there's always seems to be some surprise that crops up, a month, some extra thing you weren't banking on. You got to shell out some more money. So how can we sort of do that?
I think what we do as part of our, certainly on the expenditure side, is something everyone can do immediately. And as I said, it's not rocket science. It's very straightforward. We ask, in the course of our fact finding with meetings with clients, we ask them to list down all their expenditure. So that's the usual stuff: council tax, utilities, food, etc., etc. I can guarantee you, Linda, that 99 out of 100 underestimate what they spend and what they spend it on. And it's the little things that you tend to forget. I'll come up with a list, say, oh, well, your income's this and you're spending that. So that means you've got £200 left at the end of the month. And they go, no, I haven't. I said, right, what have we missed then? And it's usually the little things that add up. I'll give you a quick example.
Yeah.
We all like going for a coffee. We miss going for that social coffee, don't we? But we can still pop into Costa or Starbucks and get our takeaway coffee. And it's a nice treat. I like it. I think it's a nice treat for yourself. You buy that one coffee for £2.50. If you do that for every day that you work, so you've got 20 days in the month, and you've bought one coffee, just one takeaway coffee every day, that's £50 a month. £50 a month.
If you bought it every day, yeah.
If you bought it every day for 5 days, not 7 days, but 5 days, that's £50 a month you've spent just on a takeaway coffee. Now that's the sort of thing that wouldn't normally enter your head about, crikey. So if you just cut that down by half, you've saved £25 a month. So, and
you don't get your coffee every day.
You don't get your coffee every day. You just got to make it instead.
That's boring, David. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, of course, and again, it's a fairly obvious one, and we probably don't do it simply because of inertia, is have a look at your expenses, like your utility bills. Shop around. Use the comparison websites. They're very good at giving you a one-stop shop where you can check, am I paying the right amount for my electricity, my gas? Am I paying too much for my car insurance? Am I paying too much for my home insurance? And these are all things you can do. I know they sound quite simple and we're all aware of them, but we don't always do them. And we don't sit down and really analyze what is going out. Do I need to spend that? Can I get a better deal on this? Can I do better by moving this to there? So that the expenditure things are stuff you can do quite quickly to make a difference. The earn more is more difficult. That's more difficult because that's more potentially longer term. If you, in terms of earning more, you're talking about things like potentially taking part-time job. Nobody really wants to do that, but that's an option. You could retrain to do something else. You could maybe study to get further qualifications to enhance your job prospects. So those, again, things you can do.
What do you think about residual income? Some of these types of...
I think, I'm not a massive fan, if I'm being honest, because I think sometimes it's a lot of hard work for not a lot extra.
Unless you build it up.
unless you're in at the ground level.
Mm,
It's not something I would look to do. I think, well, you've got your main job, and then you've got maybe a networking sort of thing that you're doing on the side that bring to try and build up a residual income. I think with things like that, you've got to go at that 100% to make it work. I don't think it's something you can really do part time to make a
well,
significant enough difference. I don't know.
some are doing quite successful with it.
Okay. I stand to be corrected.
Some are doing fairly well with it. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. You were
No, that's
saying about
okay. But
different
it's
different ways.
I mean, I was going to say the final thing you can do, and this is
Hmm.
this is a real difficult one, but you've done it and I've done it, and that's make that leap of faith and leave an employed job and start your own business, go self-employed.
Hmm.
That takes a leap of faith. I did
Hmm.
it 10 years ago, and I'm still here.
Hmm.
But it can have significant long-term benefits, and I wouldn't change it now, and I certainly wouldn't go back. And I don't know about you, but
And then
you know,
many people as well in the current circumstances before COVID, so to speak, they thought
mm,
having a secure job was the thing. I mean, that was
mm,
kind of already starting to go by the wayside because it seemed like, you could be in a job for 5 years and that was sort of considered long term at
yeah,
the,
yeah,
but when COVID sort of came along, a lot of people got furloughed and whatever
mm,
else. So struggling to find and keep work. So a lot then started turning to how to start a new business or a business online, etc. So yeah, I do take
yeah.
your point that
It
yeah,
is. It's a difficult
starting
one.
your own business
It is a
helps.
difficult one, but it's a case of work-life balance as well, and that comes into it. I think for a lot of people. I mean, I know as far as I was concerned, the reason I left the bank and I left a good job with a salary, a pension scheme, a health scheme, and all that sort of stuff. But I
Hmm.
left of my own accord because I just couldn't stand working for the bank anymore. A 9 to 5 existence with a manager that wasn't a very nice person, frankly.
Well,
Targets,
that's the trouble.
yeah,
The
targets that got
bosses
higher
are.
and higher every year. No thanks for what you were doing.
Hmm.
And I made that leap of faith. But I know it's not for everyone, but it is something you can do to change your situation, hopefully for the better.
Mm, yeah. Okay. So let's go through some more of your other points as well and tips you wanted to share, David.
Yeah, the other things I know we've talked about before, and we talked about on various networking was taxation and trying to make the most of what you have. Now, if I asked everyone a question, do you like paying tax? I think I know what the answer would be.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Um, so that's a good starting point. So there are few things that you can do or you can look at, which will help your personal taxation situation, or if you're a business or if you're a limited company, that can help in that direction as well. Now,
Mhm.
taxation or tax is a big, big, big subject, and we could be here for a long time talking about it, but A, we haven't got that time, and B, your viewers will switch off very quickly
And fall asleep.
and fall asleep. Yeah, it's not the most riveting of subjects,
No, no, no.
but
But I'm
there
sure
are
you can share a few tips with us now
yeah, there
about
are
what
some
we
very
can do.
simple things to
Mm,
bear in mind, and surprisingly things that people are not always aware of that
mhm.
you can do and talk to someone like a financial advisor about to help your situation. First one is the most tax efficient way of saving money is via a pension plan. Now, for most employees, well, in fact, all employees will have a workplace pension these days. They will be automatically enrolled into one. But if you're self-employed, you might not
Yeah,
have that luxury. So you have
yeah.
to
So
have.
what do we do?
So if you save into a pension plan, the government will give you help to save towards your retirement. So for every £8 that you put into a pension, the government give you tax relief of £2 or 20%. So £10 goes into your pension plan, but it's only cost you £8. Now, that's like getting 20% growth on your money straight away. There is nothing else you can do where you get that sort of help. So that is saving into a pension plan. So if you're not doing it through a workplace pension,
right,
you can do it yourself.
What? Okay, so how do we sort of go about that? Where do we go to be able to save on a pension plan?
Okay, there's a couple of options. I mean, obviously, you've got online facilities where you can do that. Somebody, a company like Hargreaves Lansdown, do online pensions if you're confident enough to do it yourself. Otherwise, you can go to a financial advisor like myself, and then because we're independent, we can look at the whole of market for you, and we can pick the right scheme and the right plan and the right investment for you based on our discussions. So you can either go through an advisor, or if you're confident enough, there are online portals where you can do it yourself.
Any you would suggest? Any online services?
Well, as I said, probably the most popular one on the market is Hargreaves Lansdown.
How do you spell that, sir? Hargreaves?
Hargreaves, Hargreaves, and then separate word Lansdown, Lansdown.
Okay.
So you can do that, or you can go through an advisor like myself, where we would look at the whole of market for you. So you can do that. Limited companies, if you're set up as a business and you're a limited company, again, what you can do is pay into a pension scheme the same way, only the limited company pay the premiums for you. And that's a different way of doing it. And in that respect, you get corporation tax relief. So your pension contributions through the company doesn't come out of your personal income, doesn't come out of salary or dividends. The company pay it for you. But it just means it goes down as a business expense, and you get corporation tax relief as a result. So you're getting the company to work for you then and pay it on your behalf. So if you're lucky enough to have your own limited company, that's normally the way we would suggest doing it.
Okay.
So that's very, very quickly, that's pensions.
Okay.
Couple of other little things you can do as a personal investor. If you want to save money and not pay income tax on your savings, obviously deposit rates are extremely low at the moment, bank rates. So savings rates are very, very small. But you should still look to use your ISA allowance, individual savings account allowance. So everybody can save 20,000 per year, per tax year, without paying any income tax or capital gains tax on whatever it makes. And there's a couple of versions. You've got a cash version of that, or you've got a stocks and shares version. And again, that will come down to the individual choice and the amount of risk you're happy to take as to which one you go for. But that again is a very tax efficient way of saving some money without paying any tax. So that's another option.
Okay. Any other options?
Yeah, a couple of other quick ones.
Any other tips?
Other things is, again, and not everyone's aware of this, but
hang
as
on
you
a
probably
second. I just about pensions, and
Yeah.
maybe you've covered this and I didn't quite understand, but flexible pensions for sole traders, was that sort of covered in what you just said?
It's more or less the same thing. Yeah, it's more or less the same thing. A personal pension or a SIP, which is a self-invested personal pension, more or less the same thing, but they all cover the self-employed option. Flexible pensions, it all comes under the same banner, really. Probably what you're referring to with flexible pensions is when it comes to retirement and flexible drawdown. That may be where you've heard that.
Yeah, that's probably what I meant. Not that I understand these things very well, but that's probably what I meant.
That's okay. We could be another half an hour explaining that one, so don't worry.
Can you tell us briefly about it, or? Anything
Yeah, I mean,
different or special we need to
flexible.
do in that regard?
No, I mean, the only thing I would say is, I mean, pensions, when you come to retire, you used to take a tax-free lump sum and then buy what's called an annuity. An annuity was a fixed guaranteed income for life. In 2015, they brought in flexible pensions so that you don't have to buy an annuity anymore. You can choose to go with what's called flexible drawdown, which means you can choose the level of income that you want to take, or you could cash in the whole pension if you wish. Now, there are tax implications for doing that, and that's where you do need advice, really. But it just allows people to flexibly access their pensions in the future and have more choice, which is a good thing, rather than just having the old choices, which was you buy an annuity and that's it. So, yeah, very important to have that choice. So that was a very positive move for the industry.
Okay. All right. Sorry, you were moving on to your next point there.
Yeah, there's a couple of other sort of small ones that might be useful to know. Everyone has a personal allowance, as I'm sure we know, which is 12,500 a year. Now, if you're married, husband, wife, or in a civil partnership, and you're not using up your personal allowance with income, then you can transfer 10% of your personal allowance to your spouse or your civil partner. So 12 months. Sorry?
Yeah, that I did know, actually.
You did know. There we go.
Yeah,
So that's good. So you can transfer personal allowance. So that's worth knowing because sometimes one person will be working full time, the other one might only be part time and earning less than 12,500. Well, if part of the allowance can be transferred across, then as a couple, you could end up saving a little bit of tax. Not a massive amount, but a little bit. It all helps, as they say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And the final one, really, I think, as I say, this is a vast subject, so we'll just touch on, and that's the personal savings allowance, where again, this was a change in the sort of rules. But if you're a basic rate taxpayer, you can now earn £1,000 of interest a year without paying any tax on it. So yeah, so there's a lot of people that will come into that category. So again, that's fairly recent. That was, I don't know how long ago that was, but certainly in the last 5 years, that's been the case.
Okay.
But yeah, as I said, there are lots of other things we could look at, but obviously we haven't got the time.
we haven't got the time, and believe it or not, David, the time has sort of gone, more or less.
Wow, that was quick.
So that was quick and perfect timing. I thought that was excellent what you've shared with us today.
Okay, no problem.
Some good points. Anything else you wanted to sort of leave us with? Any last tip?
No, I think the key message is, if you're unsure, if you're worrying about it, get some advice. Financial advisors have said there is no limit. We can see anybody. First meeting is always free, so we're never going to charge a client for just having a chat and seeing if we can help. That meeting is always free. So if in doubt, seek some help, get some advice, and hopefully that will take one worry away from you.
Yes. Okay. Great. Wonderful. So I want to.
No worries. Good to see you.
To thank you, David. Yeah, nice seeing you again, and thank you for joining. So hopefully people will just hang on for a few more minutes because I have some interesting updates to share with them. But thank you, David, for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks, Linda. Bye now.
Bye. Right, so that was David Cater from Manning & Co. So very pleased that he shared some of those tips with us, and I hope you got some value from that. And yes, very excited that he could join us today, and I think it was very helpful information. So now a few things that I want to share with you for next week, and let me just get that lined up. Now, look who's coming up on our show for next week. I'm all of my guests are special, but this is an extra special guest I'm having on. Just 1 second, I'll tee that up.
Hello, Alison Hernandez here, and I'll be joining Linda Humphreys on the Strictly Healthy show to discuss all kinds of things like domestic abuse and the protection of women in particular. If you'd like to join us and share in that discussion, I'll see you there.
Yeah, so that was Alison Hernandez, and she will be coming on the show. She is the Crime and Police Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall, and she's coming on next week. So please have your questions ready, have any guests and people that you would like to come along. We're going to be talking about the protection of women and women's issues. It's quite a hot topic at the moment. So she will be sharing what the police are doing to help us and help women in general. So very interesting topic. I'm sure you'll want to come along for that one. Now, the other thing is on the 20th of March, this Saturday, we will be talking about Let's Talk Wellness. And that will be a special talk talking about oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is a very key thing you need to find out about, because that leads to inflammation, which leads to disease. So it's definitely something I think that would really be of benefit and interest to all of us to find out about. So that's Saturday, 20th of March, 7 p.m. GMT. So I do hope you can join us for that then. But other than that, that's it. Oh, 3 things that I want you to do before we go. I would love you to comment, please, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channels and also join our Facebook group. So if you can do those 3 things, I would be most pleased. And that's our lot for today. And we will see you next time, same place, 4 p.m. GMT on a Thursday. Thank you for joining us. Bye for now.